now listening to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the 15-minute show, part of the Arsenal Therapy Podcast. Today we're going to talk about Martin Zubimendi. He is a player that is slowly changing our lives in front of our eyes. He's a player that I firmly believe will be Arsenal's most important signing this summer. He's someone that I've said about before as an £85 million midfielder that we got significantly cheaper because of that release clause and because of the very, very good relationship with Real Sociedad. We ended up paying around 56 million in installments for him, which is a big reason why Arsenal have been able to do a lot of business already this summer. But I'm going to take a real deep dive into what Martin Zubimendi has done in his first two games and highlight some of the key features of why he is such an important player for us, why this signing was really needed, and what his real strengths are. Where is he excelling? What's he doing that's surprising us? What's he doing that I've really highlighted in previous videos? And what can he do to become even better in the Arsenal midfield? And what can his teammates do to ensure we're playing to his beat effectively? Now, Martin Zubimendi really, really stood out. He was someone that had an absolutely phenomenal game, man of the match performance against Newcastle. Against Milan, he got 45 minutes, and we really saw him start to tick. He came into the team. It was the first time we had seen him in an Arsenal shirt, and he very much looked at home very, very early on in his journey as an Arsenal player. Now, Martin Zubimendi is a 26-year-old. He's not a young player. He's not someone who's coming in with real promise. He's someone who's coming in with a win-now mentality. This is a big move for him. He's been in his hometown club in the Basque region for his entire life. He turned down Liverpool last summer. He decided to stay at Sociedad another year. And then Arsenal basically tried to talk him into a move last summer and ended up getting him to stay for another year and join us. This is an absolutely monumental signing for us. This is the kind of signing that can really define a project. He is going to be the beat of the team. He's going to be the metronome in the middle. But Martin Zubimendi is much more than a glued-on six that just wants to sit in one position and pop it around the park. So let's have a look at his heat map in the Newcastle game. So as you can see, he's not just sitting in the center of the park. He is more right-hand sided bias in this game, but he is roaming all over the park. And a big part of that is because he does like to go forward. He times his interceptions very well. He moves the ball very well. He wants to receive. He wants to evade defenders and move his way into space. And that's what makes this guy such a special player. So let's take a look at some of his key actions. So the one that everyone does want to talk about with Martin Zubimendi is his passing. So we'll look at some footage of the Newcastle game and where he really shone and how he moved the ball. So that's something that I think this is what we expected. You look at him here, gets the ball very, very quickly, moves it straight down the line, gives it to Leandro Trossard, nothing on, he gets it back. And he wants it, he receives it, he holds on to it, looks up, goes to play a pass. You can see 4 Newcastle defenders there. There is no way to slide that ball into Lewis Skelly. And if he goes for Marino, there's a good chance that Joe Willock intercepts the ball. So head up, just pops it back to a centre-back. I'm okay with this kind of play. He's gone forward. It comes back to him. The pass is none, pops it back to a defender. And this is very early on, setting this kind of tempo, the standard in the game. He wants to go forward. He doesn't want to play sideways, backwards, slow, boring, monotonous football. He wants to force the issue. And then this is another example. A couple of minutes later, I love this one. So ball comes back. He wins it with the back heel. And you can see him on the touchline here. Not a lot on. Most players in this position, and this is something that we saw from Jorginho and Thomas Partey a lot, they would have both popped that ball into Ben White. You know, 9 times out of 10, a player in that position pops it into the fullback, safe pass, easy option, and keeps the team playing, keeps the ball moving, and ultimately doesn't lose it. But no, Zubimendi goes for something slightly different, straight down the line, and you can see Kai Havertz on his heels, ready to go. On this occasion, Kai's touch isn't good enough, and he ends up running the ball out of play. It's heavy, it's flat, and it goes out. He ends up losing the ball. Possession's turned over. Newcastle start to come forward. But this is an example. Zubimendi wants to go forward. And what was interesting is Kai's on the defender's shoulder. Last year, we saw too often our forward players coming deep, wanting the ball in defeat. And especially when Kai got injured, we didn't have a player that would run in behind. Arsenal are adding one of the best runners off the shoulder in Viktor Gyokeres. He has joined the squad. He's coming in to train, and he's probably going to play very, very soon. He's a player that will run in behind repeatedly. We'll see it in the Premier League. We'll see it against mid-blocks. We'll see it against in transitional opportunities. But Viktor Gyokeres is a player that thrives off getting the ball quickly. And the earlier you can get it, the earlier you can set. So punchy moments like this where that ball's forced down the line, that will allow our players to play on the shoulder. And if you're a defender, that gets in your head. You're thinking, right, he's going to go forward. Right, next time, not he's going in behind. There's doubt. And that's something that I don't think Arsenal have created for a while, is that doubt by just moving the ball quickly. And you can see throughout the game, this one, lovely pass. You can see ball comes into him from Ben White. Again, there's a pass straight out into Ethan Nwaneri. He's looking straight at him. It's an easier pass to make, but no, he goes for the more difficult pass between the lines. And again, it was a heavy touch from Havertz. Kai had a good game in this game, but there were moments where his touch was a bit off and he was slightly heavy-footed. But this was another example that I loved. This time, Newcastle break on the counter, and Martin Zubimendi in that typical 6 position comes across very, very effortlessly and pops it off to a teammate straight into Saka. But what's he done? He's played it forward and he's moved it quickly. He hasn't taken the touch before he's done it. He's done it first time, in with pace, in with zip. And that was something that we used to see a lot from Thomas Partey. But as his legs slowed down and as he got a bit more rigid in his mechanics, he stopped doing that as much. His carrying power eased, and some parts of his game that he used to be exceptional in ultimately really slowed down. And it was clear we've needed this upgrade for at least 12 months. And having Zubimendi here, we are going to see very different things. Again, you see him floating out to the left half space, gets the ball, Trossard goes, and he plays it in between 2 defenders. Again, it's a player looking up, looking forward. Where's it going? It's going in behind. He wants to break lines. He wants to unsettle defenses. He wants to unsettle that midfield pack, and he wants to move the ball into an area where you can hurt teams. But this was kind of on the hour mark. This is the most minutes he has played, not long before he came off. Ball on the halfway line. Martin Zubimendi nips across, straight in. Where are you going? Nah, I'm nicking that ball. Bang. Into Trossard again. Arsenal are moving forward. And that's an example of what he can do. I'm going to look at his anticipation and his defensive work in the 2 games in a minute, and then we'll go on to his work on the ball in the Milan game as well. But this was an example of a player that just thinks sharp. He thinks smart. His brain's already 2 minutes before everyone else. He's a chess player in the middle of the park. And on this occasion, the ball bounced in. He was in ahead of his man, not because he's quicker than him, but because he thinks faster. And that anticipation to then win the ball, get it down, move it forward, carry, and then you can see he continues his run to support the attack, which again is something that Arsenal haven't had in a 6. And because of this, that will leave space in the centre of the park. That will leave an area where the team can be countered upon. So do expect to see Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi rotate positions and really get in between each other and alternate, because Arsenal will need that positional flexibility and those rotation options within the field to ensure that we're not being overrun in midfield. But we do have big players like William Saliba, Gabriel, Miles Lewis-Skelly that can tuck in and really help prevent that happening. But with this kind of play, we saw just time and time again. And then right before he comes off, he plays this beautiful pass through the lines. And you can see it. Just he gets his head up, receives it, and he wants to play it quickly. Again, the easy pass would have been on his left foot, pop it back to the man that he's got it from, keep it moving, pop it into Saliba. But no, he looks up. He gets it. You can see it very, very quickly. And you can see here, Martinelli's on the shoulder. Again, I want to come back to Viktor Gyokeres. Viktor Gyokeres is a player that really likes to run in behind. He's like a steam train when he gets going. He's so powerful, so direct, and so difficult to shrug off the ball. When he's running, he's got one clear thought. It's, I'm going to get the goal the fastest way possible, and I'm going to put that ball in the back of the net. Having a player that will play this pass quickly is going to be massive for a player like Gyokeres. You can see here, Martinelli gets in behind. He's flagged offside. But on another day, that ball's going into a very dangerous area and someone's getting it. And it's that intent. I don't mind seeing players lose the ball because they're trying something. Where I get frustrated is when a player takes 3 or 4 touches, plays a safe pass, and that ball gets intercepted, because that's lazy. And that's something that I really can't stand in my midfielders. But one thing that Martin Zubimendi's been criticised for is his defensive work. And a lot of that to me has always been a lazy analysis, because Zubimendi's one of the top duel winners in La Liga over the last few years. Last year, he won the most ground duels, and he's someone that repeatedly wins the ball back because of his anticipation. I used the example of him winning the ball in the middle of the park against Newcastle, but let's have a look at some of his duels in this game. On this occasion, the ball's come back. He's anticipated well. He wins the first header. The ball bobbles, and he's straight in with his foot. This one, ball comes back down the pitch, and he's in ahead of his man to win the ball. This one, I've already shown you. I'm showing you again because I think it's excellent. He gets the ball. You can see per touch from Tonali, Zubimendi straight fires it into Saka, very quick, moves it forward. Arsenal are suddenly on the front foot again, suddenly able to move the ball forward. And as you can see, Newcastle now have 5 players up the pitch, and Bruno sitting in an area by himself. Teams like Newcastle don't like being unsettled in this area. When teams come out and play a mid-block against Arsenal, this is where you have to shake things up. This is where you have to unsettle the team. And you can see here, suddenly Saka's got the ball with plenty of pitch ahead of him. He's got attackers ahead of him. You can see Ethan Nwaneri, Kai Havertz, both in the screen. You can see Mikel Merino right beside him. He has the option to pass that ball quickly, but ultimately Saka's got options. And that's the key thing. You can see how quickly Newcastle, even in pre-season, are getting themselves back into position. But he gets it, he moves it. And again, Zubimendi in the middle of the park, straight in, wins the ball back, quickly pushes it forward into a teammate, and Arsenal are going forward again. So this time you can see Kai Havertz on his shoulder, ready to go forward as Ethan Nwaneri carries the ball away. But this one's slightly further back. Zubimendi gets the ball. You can see Mikel Merino going for it again. It's crowded box, in sharp, pushes the ball, and Calafiori plays it. Again, quick interceptions. He's in fast. He moves the ball forward, and he gives it to Ben White quickly. And this is the interception that we saw earlier, where he gets it, wins it back, plays it into Trossard. And as you can see, he continues his run. He keeps moving up the park. He keeps the play going, and he keeps attacking the opposition. This one, straight in, very simple, wins the ball back. But this one is one that I do want to highlight because this is a slightly different situation. So when he came on against Milan, first minute of him on the pitch, he gets a pass sold short to him. A lot of players would run forward for that ball, really try to close down the space, try and win it back quickly. But Zubimendi knew straight away he didn't have the legs to win it. So what he did was he let Declan Rice take the running battle, and he went straight back into that traditional 6 position where he knew he could protect his team and really help win the ball back. And as you can see, Rafael Leao was carrying the ball, battling with Declan Rice, straight in, and Zubimendi's actually the one that recovers as Declan Rice and Ben White are doing the running battle with Leao. It takes 3 players to stop this guy, but Zubimendi's ultimately the one that wins the ball back and lets it go back to David Raya. And on this occasion, again, Leao beats his man. It's Zubimendi. You're not getting a corner here, mate. I'm winning the ball, and I'm making sure that my team are protected. And again, that's anticipation. And this is another example of it. The ball comes straight down the line. Zubimendi wins the header. And what does he do? He follows it up. He follows his run. You can see Marino's got the ball here. Zubimendi's going down the line, and he's following it up. He's going into that space. But again, I talked about him leaving and vacating that 6th position to move forward. We will see elements of like an Ilkay Gundogan in there, and the way he goes forward and steps into that 8th position. Even Rodri with those central rotations where we've seen Kovacic drop deep to cover the 6th to allow Rodri to go forward and impact the game in the final third. And I fully expect to see more of that with Zubimendi and Declan Rice interchanging positions because he has got the capacity to go forward. On this occasion, he gets the ball into Max Diamond. Max gets the ball and starts moving him. And here, again, just put your foot through it, straight down the line, but he still manages to find his teammate. But this interception's one that I loved. So the ball's coming down the line. Zubimendi's just quick to react. He wins it. And again, I mentioned when he wins the ball, how quickly he pushes it forward and gets his teammates on the counter. On this occasion, it's straight into Reiss Nelson. And Reiss does a fantastic job of really getting on his bike and carrying it forward. And this is something that we hope to see if we can bring in a player like Eberechi Eze, who's a fantastic carrier, because Zubimendi is going to intercept the ball. He is going to unsettle midfielders, and he is going to get us on the attack more quickly than other teams. But what we're seeing with Zubimendi is a player that's just aggressive. He moves in, he attacks, he wants to win the ball, and he does it effectively. But I mentioned the Milan game and some of his passing. So very early on, he was sold the ball short. But you can see when he came on here, he wanted to move it. There were simple passes. And I highlighted the first one. So very, very bad. The first touch he had of the ball. So this is just after he comes on, first minute of the second half. But what interested me about this is he's just come on the pitch. He wants the ball. You can see him standing there. I freezed it now. Zubimendi is standing with his arms out. Give me the ball. The pass is simple, but look, he gets his head up. He carries it across the pitch, opens his body, and he whips it straight out to the fullback. It's not a flashy pass. We saw Thomas Partey do this loads. Jorginho do this. Declan Rice does it time and time again. But what impressed me about this was how quickly he came on the pitch and said, give me the ball. He's a player that takes responsibility, wants the ball at his feet, wants to be in control and setting the tempo for his team. But not long after that, what we saw was Zubimendi getting the ball and sliding it through the lines. He wanted it. And then again, into Odegaard, gets the ball and he fizzes it. He moves it quickly. He's not messing around here. He moves it quickly with intent. And that's something that we didn't see enough of, was our six moving up. Too often we saw our six sitting between our centre-backs and trying to dictate play from there. That's fine if you're playing in certain game states, but too often we were seeing our six be the stagnated build-up player when we were facing a low block. When we had 11 men behind the ball, we had everyone camped at the edge of their box, and we had players moving the ball slowly around the back four, and we ended up horseshoeing. That's something that Zubimendi helps you deal with. He will move it quickly. He will give you that intent. And ultimately, he will try and force the issue. And it's something I keep saying, is forcing the issue. But too often last year, we were reluctant to lose the ball and give up possession, and we were obsessed with control. Zubimendi's passing accuracy isn't that of a normal six. He's not a 96 percentile passer. He's someone that will sit around 84, 85%, which is actually quite low, and it's because he takes risks. So you can see him even here. This is an example. Gets the ball, moves it forward, takes multiple touches, gets closed down, but he plays it forward. He anticipates when it's coming forward. He's not scared to play that vertical pass on his left foot straight into the winger. And on this occasion, he takes too many touches for my liking. This is 20 minutes of his kind of first appearance for Arsenal in front of an audience. So there is rust. He is going to get that shaken off, and you could see the improvement in the Newcastle game. But it was the vertical play that I loved. Here, another example of it. He's closed down. Instead of going out to his fullback, he plays it straight into Martin Odegaard, makes about 30 yards with that pass, gets us up the field, and Odegaard gets that ball. Again, you want to see Odegaard move that ball quicker, but Zubimendi is giving him that option. He's allowing him to get set quicker. And I've mentioned Gyokeres and Havertz playing on the shoulder. Odegaard's another player that will benefit if Odegaard gets out of his own head and starts thinking faster. He needs to get that first touch out of his body faster, not cutting back, moving forward, getting it in the half turn, and really making use of the space that Zubimendi will create with the speed he plays at. And again, I mentioned him creeping into that Gundogan position. This is a prime example of it. Gets the ball straight out. Very simple pass, but he moves it quickly. Again, he's being closed down. He gets Arsenal on the counter and in a position to enter the box. Here is another one. He's slightly off balance, sprays the ball 30 yards across the deck, diagonally, but he gets into an area where Arsenal can continue to move it quickly. And this was a piece of play that I really loved. Just a dinked pass into the box, and we're in. Ultimately, nothing came of it, but you can see defenders are scampering to close us down, and that's something that we don't see enough. But this was an absolutely beautiful pass. Again, in that left half space, gets the ball, punches it forward, and I keep using that word punch. There is a kind of toe-pokey nature to some of his passes. He just knows how to get the ball away, get it into the right area, and move it into an area that can hurt teams, because that's something that we're not doing enough. We're not dynamic enough. And a big part of our dynamism in the final third isn't just pace and running power, but it's the speed we're moving the ball early on in the pitch. We're not getting the ball out quick enough. We're not moving it fast enough at the base. And as a result, teams are able to get settled. Within this, you've seen many examples of Zubimendi just moving that ball over and over and over again and making sure teams can't get settled into a block. And in this game, Milan really tried to play on a block. But this one, again, I loved it. I've talked before about Zubimendi being willing to go over the top. This was quick, gets his head up. Miles is making the run straight over the top, takes out half the Milan team. And then you can see that Arsenal have players advancing up the pitch to come and join this. The more we get used to playing with Zubimendi and the more we get used to his passing range and his willingness to go over the top, the more you'll start to see players really spring forward. And again, I keep mentioning Gyokeres and Havertz. They're two players that are really going to benefit. And I haven't even got on to Bukayo Saka, because Bukayo Saka can thrive with any player. But if he's getting the ball much quicker, we know that Partey and Saka had a very good relationship. One of the players that Partey was very good at getting the ball to was Bukayo Saka, but he was very right-sided biased. Zubimendi, even in this early examples, you can see him, he was willing to go left, he's willing to go right. He doesn't have that angle bias. He will go anywhere across the pitch on both feet and he will move it quickly. And speed is something that I can't emphasize enough. Again, this one, straight through the lines and into an Arsenal player who's able to turn and get it. And you can see the Milan players struggling to keep up as a result. But these are examples of a player who's really willing to think forward. That's something that we've complained about for so long. But Zubimendi is a player that will move it forward, will think forward, and ultimately wants to hurt teams. I keep repeating myself here, but the reasons I do is because we've been stale in attack. We've had too many ball to feet players. We've added runners this summer. We've added Noni Madueke, who wants to get the ball, wants to go direct. He's got the most carries in the Premier League. He's got the most carries into the box, and he hits 3.5 shots a game. Pair him with a player like Zubimendi, whether he's playing on the left or the right wing, and he gets that ball early, and he wants to look up and he wants to run. Max Diamond was someone that I highlighted in that. Max is already impressing. One of the things Max does very well is he gets his head up, gets his shoulders back, and runs forward. He can see the full pitch in front of him. Zubimendi does that in a different way. He's someone who carries the ball very well, but he's looking ahead of him and thinking, right, what's around me? He knows where his teammates are. He's just got incredible awareness. And that was seen in the defensive side when I highlighted his anticipation, his ability to intercept, tackle, and just get ahead of teammates to win a header. These very basics are things that will really stand out for him. He has got a weakness on transition, and that's something that Arsenal are going to have to work to protect. But it's not like Thomas Partey or Jorginho were mopping up those areas last season. Both of them were liabilities, and neither of them had the kind of acumen to position themselves in the right areas to avoid it. Zubimendi has that in abundance. Jorginho did when he was younger, but his legs really, really slowed. And even with his mindset, he struggled to be in the right position at the right time. But ultimately, the thing that excites me most is the players that we've brought in are very transition heavy. They're very run focused, very, very powerful, big, long strides, lots of pace. And Zubimendi will thrive off this. I'd also highlight Martin Odegaard in the Newcastle game. I thought he was fantastic when he came on. Yes, there were moments, one where he cut it back, he didn't give it into Diamond. And that's frustrating. That's something we want to see Martin Odegaard get over. But as the game went on, you could see Martin opening his body more, moving it quickly. We saw him have a shot. And again, playing with Zubimendi, who's going to fire that ball into him faster, is going to help that. I would also like to see Martin Odegaard stay higher up the pitch, not come deep, and not look for it off the centre-backs. Let Zubimendi do that. He's already shown that he's capable. He's already shown he's a leader, and that's only going to improve. Come the Man United game, this guy is going to be the guy who we're playing to his beat. We've been playing to Odegaard's beat for a long time, but really we want to see Odegaard impact the game in the final third. We don't need him being the player with loads of touches, loads of involvement. Let Zubimendi do that job. We've got Saliba behind him as well, who's really able to create space, make things happen as well, and carry the ball up the park. And Zubimendi will be happy moving out of the way and creating space for Saliba, moving markers out and allowing our centre-backs to carry up the pitch too, which Calafiori will really thrive in, Lewis Skelly will thrive with, and we've already seen Ben White with fantastic running power. Ultimately, this guy will change our lives this season. He is, in my opinion, the biggest upgrade we will make. We've all wanted a striker, we've all wanted a winger, and hopefully we get Eze as well. But ultimately, Martin Zubimendi is a world-class player and arguably the second best six in the world. And he's come in for a very low fee in the current market. So this is a sign-in that we really have to embrace. But if you've enjoyed this show, please drop a comment. Tell us what you think. Do you think Martin Zubimendi is the answer? How impressed have you been? What more would you like to see from him? Hit the like button as well. It really helps the algorithm. And please subscribe to the channel. Your support over the last month since it was relaunched has been a huge help. And I'm going to continue to upgrade the equipment, make sure the quality is better every time. We're getting access to more footage and ultimately keep bringing better shows. And that can only happen with the support of the channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you again very soon.